以前可以蹦蹦跳跳，突然间不能做，受到惜福吧，能够拥有的我就很珍惜了。
The last time I performed Summertime with my father was about 10 years ago, so to be able to do it today is kind of incredible.
After my diagnosis, I find that time is limited. For my two younger ones, I'm afraid their memories of me might be very vague. So with this technology, if I'm not around, they're still able to remember me. My name is Alison Wee.
A week before the release of PSLE results, Raphael was due for a surgery and unfortunately complications took place, which leads to his death.
I want to see Raphael to go through the same fond memories again, to recollect.
We started working on the face, so we replicate exactly like how he looks like, features, his eyes, his mouth and everything.
Live interaction would be a really great way to elevate the performance and this whole experience.
It really felt like he was playing right beside me.
我希望人家一直会记得周淑明是一名演员，而不是一个病人。我还能够演戏，还能够把欢乐带给观众。
I miss your Muppet smile, Raphael. Can you show me again?
Red. So you want me to color the red color part? This triangle is red. Okay, here is red. How about this part?
This part is red.
This part is red. Where else? Here.
Here.
Okay. Hi, I'm Alison Wee. I'm 37 years old this year. I have 4 beautiful children, age ranging from 4 to 12 years old. They are Isaac, which is 12 years old, Ivan, 11 years old, Isaiah, 6 years old, and Isabel, 4 years old. My two little ones, they want to spend every single second with me. So even when they are home, I want to prepare dinner, they just want to stay by my side. So I understand how much they want to spend time with me, but also given known of my condition that something is that is not within my control. In December 2022, I'm diagnosed with the breast cancer stage 4. Yeah, so initially when I first found out, doctor was worried because to them there was no more than 3 months.
Yeah, later you color mine, okay?
My third son, Isaiah, that he always, you want to be with Mama forever together?
Yes.
Yes? Yes, why?
Because I want to.
Why you want to be with me forever together?
Because I want to.
Together? Okay, can we put the gun down?
Mama, kitty.
Okay, can I give you a big hug? Big hug. So my children actually know that I'm sick. To what extent of sick, I think it's a bit different to my older boys and the younger children. The older boys know it's some sort of disease. But for the two younger kids, their definition of sick is a bit different because they tell me Mama, I'm having cough. You're sick, I'm also sick. So it's a definition something sick that you can recover from it. They are still so young, so I wish to do something that is within my control that I can preserve some memories for them. I'm actually arranging to meet up with the Storyfile founder, Stephen, which is from the US.
Let me tell you a little bit about Storyfile. It was about 10 years ago. My wife, Heather, and I were working with victims of the Nazi Holocaust, and they had survived concentration camps, and they were getting older, And we realized that they were not going to be able to tell their stories and answer questions for the next generation of young people. And so we developed a technology called conversational video AI. And what it enables us to do, in this case, older people who'd been through this historical experience, to record them so that in future they could answer questions of children that might want to come and learn about that historical experience.
The reason that I want to find out more about this is because last year I actually found out that I'm diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. So what I'm trying to find out more is to preserve this memory for my children, especially the youngest one.
You'll be having an interview with a regular camera, and you're going to sit for probably 6 hours and answer, more than 100 questions. And then each of those questions goes into a database. So in future, when one of your family members comes along and wants to learn some of your memories, they can just ask you a question directly to the screen, and the database will go and find the answer you gave and return it just like a conversation.
Because there's AI involved, how can I ensure it doesn't do any changes later on? So how do I ensure it's all by me?
So essentially what's happening is the AI is helping to create the questions. It's helping to transcribe the questions. It's helping to retrieve the answers so that they are the correct answers when somebody asks you a question in the future. We use AI through the whole system of creating the conversation, except for one thing. We do not use it for telling your story. We do not change what you say. That's yours to tell.
Grief tech is this new concept of using technology for grieving, for mourning, for memorialization, for legacy buildings. It's not really very well known.
So if there are two broad categories of grief tech, the first is in many ways the simplest. That's someone who, before they pass on, decides that they want to preserve some kind of memory. The second category of grief tech is not where someone's preserving themselves, but where a family or someone else is trying to reconstruct someone who's passed.
My name is William. I'm 50, turning 51 this year. My son's name is Raphael Lianze.
Ma. Happy birthday to Raphael. Happy birthday to you. Me, I'm Jewish. I'm having fun.
Raphael was fighting cancers for many years. 3 years ago, 13 November 2020, he passed on because of a complication in the surgery at the age of 12. During the final surgery, he's bleeding a lot and they couldn't stop the bleeding. The main surgeon came out and said that actually Raphael's heart has stopped. When I saw Raphael being pushed out from the operating theatre with many tubes connected on him, I broke down and cried.
So this is the latest headset. You can put it on.
I'm working with a tech firm to create a digital avatar of Raphael to capture all our fond memories.
So in this experience, not only that you can look around, you can actually walk along with it as well. So in this virtual reality world, anything can be created. So as you can see, the detail of the environment is all in high fidelity. Whatever you experience can be artificially created and then placed in any position. We can digitally create Raphael. So to start, we actually need more information about him and also pictures, videos about Raphael so that we actually know how exactly he looks like.
So there's things like that are going on. This South Korean documentary about a mother and her dead child and how they were meeting virtually.
엄마 어디 있었어? 엄마 항상. 엄마 내 생각했어?
나연이 잘 있었어? 엄마 나연이 보고 싶었어.
It's obviously the most famous example because of the state of the mother and how emotional she was and how heartbreaking it was to watch it. And you think, is it really a good idea to do that? It's, you know, it's too much.
So in Singapore, I don't think this is particularly common yet. Indeed, presumably that's why you're doing a story about it. But I understand the interest with it for a couple of reasons. Singapore, it's a very digitally connected society. We're very familiar with the tools. We're usually quite keen to experiment with the tools. And second, Singapore culture, the diverse cultures in Singapore have a real interest in taking death seriously and respect for elders, respect for past generations, treating the grieving process seriously. And so when these two things come together, I understand the desire to experiment with it.
Raphael was fighting cancers for many years. The first episode of cancer was in 2008 when he was 8 months old. Suddenly, there's a lump on his left forearm. So we brought him to a polyclinic, and once the biopsy was done and the result came out to be rhabdomyosarcoma, a rare form of soft tissue cancers. So he went through 7 surgeries and a series of chemotherapy to shrink the tumor as much as possible. The last episode, there's no more drug that is able to control the growth of cancer. So Raphael was prescribed with a drug that is on pilot trial. But that year is also Raphael sitting for the PSLE. We were a bit worried. So we asked Raphael, do you want to rest and do your PSLE next year? So Raphael was very persistent that he wants to clear PSLE this year together with his peers. And after completing PSLE, he was due for a surgery. Raphael expressed his fear for this surgery, which was different from the previous surgery that we went through, where he did not express any fear. These pictures are taken before the final surgery. Actually, you couldn't see quite clearly. Actually, Raphael was sobbing quietly. But we still go to him and say, come on, let's take this picture together. And he whispered these words, I don't want to die.
I'll always be telling him to watch over us as well as to keep mommy strong.
Report the niche also. Yeah.
Yeah, in case we were to go, we will also be beside him. Yeah, while we will make him at the same place as well.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Jazz by the Code.
So I'm at the Sentosa Music Festival and I'm doing my jazz show with Duncan McKee and the band. I've really done concerts back to back all my life. If you count that I've been on TV since I was like a 12-year-old, maybe this is, 50 years of singing. I remember singing and dancing when I was 3 years old. The dominant character at home was my dad. He was playing in several orchestras. He played for my uncle's chamber ensemble. He played the double bass. My uncle's orchestra required them to rehearse, so he opened up the house. And so my living room, which was not very big, was full of cellists and violinists and a lot of live music. And I think it seeped into my soul. This was 1976. I had a childhood friend, Lim Xiao Chong. He brought in his sister Beth, and he said, okay, let's join this talent time.
The next contestants are due to be on stage any minute. So, ladies and gentlemen, won't you welcome Vintage?
Right at the beginning, I said to my dad, well, I'm going to take part in the talent time. And so, what do you think of it? And he said, well, if you're going to join, then win it. So for me, that was kind of a whoa, that was a little bit of a wake-up call because he'd never spoken like that before to me. And so that kind of raised the bar.
Red sails in the sunset. The Broadway baby says goodnight, says goodnight. It's so early in the morning. Manhattan babies don't sleep tight.
So it was the finals. There were 8 judges, and it was really shocking. We got full marks from every judge.
And the top spot
with a perfect score. Wow!
And so everyone knew that we'd won.
The winners of RTS Talent Time 76, Vintage.
Since there was a lot of music around the house, it just became very natural to follow that road. My dad, he was quite instrumental in bringing out what I wanted to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a big fan of the next artist. Let's all welcome her with a very big round of applause, the one and only Jacintha.
If you ever plan to motor west.
As a child, I was very impressed by his whole world, the music world. My father bought my first turntable. Every Saturday, he'd bring us to Beethoven Record House, and he'd buy himself some records. I wanted my own pop and jazz, so he would buy these albums for me. I just got really into it and just listened to everything and bought as many records as possible. I still sing and perform. I thought that I would be dealing with my father's legacy much later in my life. And so it was a shock to me that not even a year after he's passed, there are quite a few parties who are interested in his life and his work. So the idea of playing with my father, it keeps him very present in my life. Yeah!
我是第一次做咖啡店，所以我需要学很多东西，要了解，要知道整个运行。下来的目的也是说活动一下筋骨各方面啊，有得到适当的一些运动吧。我是周初明，我是名演员。那么我加入了这个演艺圈已经有大概30多年的时间了。就在2008年，我被正式患上了肌肉萎缩症了，主要的病症就是四肢无力啦，手脚麻痹啦，走路缓慢啦，等啦。不过依然带着感恩的心，因为到现在日常生活受影响，不过不至于说停滞不前。
你做了上面可以大概跟我解释一下。
主要是因为我不能坐低了，那如果我坐一张椅子低的话，我上来会很困难，所以2张还 OK 比较容易，那么3张呢是更加容易了，当然还是需要用一点力的，再加上你的脚比较能够伸，比较舒服一些。我走路的情况就是大家都看到嘛，比较慢，所以我需要找一个定位，一个 balance， 所以我慢慢走。大概动不动突然间脚一软就下去了。它有些地你看起来似乎是平的，可是其实它有点凹凸，不明显。所以真的是小时候妈妈教的，走路要看路啊，真的。到了这把年纪还在学走路要看路，呀。其实当我得知我的病情之后，我真的向公司反映说，你们就算要把我的 contract 给 dismiss 掉，我都 OK， 因为毕竟不能欺骗嘛，我很多的动作啊、心理表演都做不到啊。我演了那么多角色，其实每一个角色都喜欢，不老传说啦，
这一切都是你的幻觉。
我也做了一天工呢，我也非常。
阿比啦，罗邦卿，
你可以睡觉吗？啊，惨了！
福满人间啦。
小心跌死啊！
停车！
以前可以蹦蹦跳跳嘛，很多东西都能做，突然间不能做，重复的戏没有看，慢慢的就释怀了，就必须要面对了。
someone whose life is in front of the camera, and suddenly they're not able to do any of this anymore because of an illness or condition, then that loss would impact them so much because it's tied so closely to their identity and who they are as a person.
Grief is in all kinds of things, not just death. You know, he's grieving because he's lost his career. He's grieving because he has this disease, and he has to think of, you know, a whole new life for himself. That is grieving.
Cheers, cheers.
Cheers, Mum.
Hello, how was your trip?
Yeah, our trip was good.
My brother Peter, who lives in KL, had come over quite often to visit my dad when he was in hospital. But I hadn't seen him since the funeral till that day we had lunch together with my mother. My father, Alison Abisheganaden, passed on when he was 97, last March, of old age, really. There are 4 grandchildren in the family. My brother had 3 children, Zach, Zain, and Zuleika, and Alexander, my son. So when he had his first grandchild, his nickname became Grandpa. So by this stage of our lunch, I think Grandpa would still be having his beer.
Yep.
So he wouldn't have started. You know, we'd want to clear everything and
then you'll get scolding. Fighty sake.
I like to say fighty sake because who is going to wash the dishes?
And he used to love to just take his time, sit outside with the ukulele or the banjo or the guitar and just play all day.
His first wife is the guitar.
I was just scrolling YouTube one day and up popped the Genus Guitar Ensemble playing one of Dad's compositions, and I couldn't watch it. Well, of course it brings back lots of memories. It brings back Dad as we should remember him, not his final years when he was an old man. You know, the life he had in him, he was a real fun guy. Yeah? He encouraged us to have fun, and he was known as a joker. He was known as a guy who enjoyed what he was doing.
When I was in primary school, we never had an alarm clock. He'd come into my room as an alarm clock and play the guitar, and you're like, oh my gosh. But, you know, it was just a very happy life. Both of my parents were educators, but they had gigs, orchestral gigs. So it was fun. And the place was just full of musicians.
So Dad was very generous with his time with a lot of people. He mentored a lot of young musicians, and Mum was always scolding him because his lessons, instead of being an hour or 45 minutes, we would run on 2 hours or something if he had somebody who was talented or interested or something like that.
As a teacher, I think it was just a teaching button to always enthuse you. It was the first thing he said to a child if they walked into a room. Hello, do you play any music?
He would play bass in groups, he would accompany singers. He was always performing. Yeah, even at 90, he was writing, scoring music. He was always doing something, never stopped.
It wasn't his day job. It was never his day job, and yet he was quite famous.
And so, yeah, a lot of people in Singapore knew my dad. All the musicians in Singapore all knew my dad. Okay, so let's see what's in here.
The magic box.
Pandora's box.
Yes.
Maybe. Wow, here's Dad playing Happy Birthday to You, a lot of candles. This is fantastic because you guys used to perform so much together, actually. When did you start performing with Dad?
So I started out playing with him on live radio. So live radio.
Live?
Live radio meant we sang it live in the studio with a live audience. It was called Voice and Guitar. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I was the voice and he was the guitar.
Once I built a railroad, made it run.
So I learned Summertime and played it then. Then it just became like the family song, right?
Yeah,
Remember?
you did it for years, performing
For-
that with
for
Dad.
years,
Yeah.
yes.
When it comes to Ja and Dad, Summertime is certainly one we think of all the time. They sang it all the time. At parties and at the piano jamming at home in Jalan Pemimpin.
So I've been performing with my father all my life. As much as I could, I drew him into my world as he did for me in his world.
We struggled through the darkest storms.
I think it all culminated into one lovely father-daughter reunion when he was chosen to participate in the 2019 video for NDP. But that would have been the last professional gig we shared together.
Jasmine is my best friend. Both of us actually went to join Mrs Singapore Chinatown in 2022. My entire life is just around my children, where people have like career, their friends, their social life. The reason I joined the pageant because I was home for so long. I felt I have lost touch with the society.
Why you choose this, by the way?
Yeah, because I like the color red. I remember it was a Wednesday morning before prejudging, 2 weeks before final. Yeah, so I had this pain under my right rib cage. So it's like consistent pain. So I went to the GP at 8 a.m. in the morning. So after the doctor examined me, he said that you will need to go for a scan. So while waiting for my appointment for the CT scan, Jasmine called me up. So I told her like, oh, already arranged your scan, so I'll be at Farrer Park Hospital. And she says like, okay, I'm around, somewhere around nearby, so I can drop by to look for you. The scan was out. That's when the doctor came in. He started to explain that 70% of my liver is actually filled with tumors. We don't know where the origin is, so the next step we can do is to admit me, go for further checks. But judging from the picture, he said it's like easily like a stage 4.
So she said to me that anyway, Jasmine, if it's really late stage cancer, I don't want to treat. I just live like whatever balance life I have like 3 to 6 months. But you got kids, and your kids so young, and then you still give up without like a fight, man.
At that moment, I felt like, yeah, I still have 4 kids. It's not just about me. It's still and also my family. So when I was admitted, what we did was biopsies to take some of the tissue from my liver to scan. From there, they are able to tell where the cancer actually originates from. From the report, it is showing 100% HER2 negative breast cancer. After this biopsies, what I did was a pot. So for my chemo pot, it actually was insert under my right chest above here. So from here, you can have direct access without finding the veins. You just put it on, then you can start your chemotherapy. Within that 3 days, I already gone through many scans and procedure. And because on the weekend, the Saturday, it is the prejudging day. The prejudging, I would say, is more important than the finals because it is where the sponsors see you and how you present yourself in front of them. Tell them why are you in this pageant and how eager are you to win this. So pretty much already will determine whether if you're going to get to the next round. So I decided to go back and join the prejudging. So I told the doctor that could I be on a hospital leave for 2 hours?
I think you know who she is. Contestant number
December 2022, I was diagnosed with cancer. Yeah, it actually just struck me that I'm in this condition, that all my life I've been like putting myself low. What have I did for myself? I didn't do much. So I insist that I want to go for the prejudging for Mrs Singapore Chinatown 2022. I didn't think I will win any title. I just wanted to participate because this is something that I started and I want to end it nicely. 2 days after my prejudging, I went for my first chemotherapy. So Monday was my first chemotherapy. The finals comes on Friday. So I was there whole day. I felt very weak. So that did also help me to redesign the opening dance because it's hard for me to stand for long hours. At the time we still need to put on our shoes, which is around like I think 4-inch tall. Yeah, to be able to stand on top and balance myself.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first runner-up.
Contestant number 2, Alison Wee!
Yeah, I actually was pretty shocked. I was in disbelief. I actually got a place. So I felt very grateful as well. So I started my chemotherapy in December 2022. 3 weeks later, my hair started to fall. I still hold some sentimental feelings, so I didn't want to shave it immediately. But when I want to shave it, I realized that it was so fragile. The roots are already like damaged, so the hair just falls out by itself when you comb it.
On the day of Raphael's funeral, before we go to crematorium, we actually came here one more round. Because he passed in hospital, so I just want to let Raphael have a last look around this estate. Let him came back to where he stayed, so it complete his earthly tour, so to speak. Because Raphael loves school, the principal also allowed the Hearst to go to school. The teacher all lined up just a big farewell. The moment I feel in the car, and it could be just some thoughts that flash across, then I'll think about Raphael. There's one smile, I always tell Raphael to do it. I call it the Muppet smile. Because in Muppet show, I want to show the Muppet is laughing, their whole head it will move like that. So I get Raphael to do that. So celebrating birthday together with his cousin. He knows I'll definitely say that, do your Muppet smile. Then he'll just, from left to right, he'll just shake his head, not his head. When Raphael was in primary 2, a tumor appears also on the left arm, which was quite close to the wrist. We went back to the hospital and they were surprised that how come the tumor came back. They find that it's important to do a family history investigation. My family have a very strong history of cancers. Started from my mom. My mom has breast cancer while she was carrying me. So after delivering me, about a month later, she passed on. My elder brother, who was 2 years older than me, he has leukemia and passed on at the age of 24. Our blood were actually sent to LA for lab tests, and we came back saying that it's positive from Raphael and me, who are LFS, Lee-Frommeny syndrome, positive. Our cancer suppressing cells does not work to suppress cancer. Instead, it mutates, becoming cancer itself. So we are very prone to have our cells mutated into cancers. Of course, another round of chemotherapy Raphael has to go through. A year later, in 2017, another tumor appeared on the same arm, but this time round, the surgeon said that amputation will be the only way to save his life. And he was 10 years old. After he lost his arm, I feel that I owe him a lot, especially when I was undergoing my own episode of colon cancer. There's one time I spoke to him, I said, Raphael,
I really need to ask you for your forgiveness. I say, I'm sorry that I failed to protect your arm as a father. Immediately he cried. He came to me, he hugged me, and he said, Papa, I don't blame you. It's not your fault. So it's really a father and son kind of bond that I feel I'm obliged to carry on his legacy. I remembered at Raphael's deathbed, said something about continue his legacy. His intention is encouraging people to move on regardless how hard the journey could be. So I guess the best way now he's used his story, make him live on, to people who knows him, to people who loves him.
AI, as you know, it's in every industry now. So of course, why not the death industry? I was reading about, and I thought it was fascinating, and because they were all talking about inventing and coming up with this kind of new technology, where a lot of these death tech companies were saying, we want to create and preserve the essence of your loved ones.
And grief tech is a new way to remember people. It's a new way to celebrate their lives.
So as this technology has become more sophisticated, and so if you can interact and have a chat with Abraham Lincoln, then maybe people started to think you could have a chat with Grandma.
Hi, Chris.
Afternoon, Jacintha.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Take a seat.
Thank you. I've seen performances which have been recreated where someone is singing with somebody who's passed on. I was just wondering, with your amazing technology, whether you could recreate a moment of magic between my father and myself. And so this is a little example of what we used to do around the dining table at home. And that's me singing with him playing.
And the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true.
My aunt, she would always say, please sing Summertime. So, okay, we would do that. I think it is kind of like the bond that we had, father and daughter. Every time I sing it, I think of him. So I'd really like to be able to recreate that.
Okay, we have a way to perform. We are going to recreate your dad in hologram way.
Wow.
Yeah, so with transparent background, so you can see your dad really performance together with you, just beside you.
Good example of kind of a hologram that's being created, you know, what happened with the Kardashians because they could afford it, of hologram of their late father as a Christmas present.
Keep doing what you're doing, Kimberly. You are a beautiful soul. Know that I am very proud of you, and I'm always with you.
Okay, we need your father's photo.
Yeah.
Front face, side face, yeah, in high quality. We have worked with 3D avatar. We create the avatar model, but it's no real person who passed away. In order to recreating avatar in hologram, we need to very accurate in creating the finger movement, same matching with the song. That's a difficult part.
Essentially, we used AI in order to create a video and animate one of his images and bring it to life. I'm a bit nervous to see how they will react to it. Is it respectful? Did we do a good job?
My first encounter with Alex, which when I was in my early 20s, where Yamaha started the first guitar ensemble, or they call it the Nibori method ensemble. Alex was always the guest conductor. That's where I first knew him. From there, he started off the Guitar Society. I loved the guitar, so I joined the society then. That's how we get close. I know that Alexis is ill for quite a while, which I'm very sad, when he was hospitalized for a long period of time. Of course, I visited one of the afternoon, and he just lying down, not singing at all, not talking, still. So the nurse says that, yeah, it has been like that. I decided to say, it would be nice if there's a guitar to play something. I asked the nurse and said, yeah, there's one guitar there. So I took the guitar, and when I play, Alex started singing.
Very easy.
The music is still inside him, for sure. His voice is still very, very strong. Although the diction is not there, but you see, because he get excited, wow, I think it was something. And all the nurse was literally quite surprised.
I had a very lovely time with Thomas and his wife and daughter this year because we were invited to the same dinner. And it was during the time that we were talking about Thomas and his work and his friendship with my dad. So he literally played Summertime for me during that dinner. It was like the same style and the same chords and the same way, exactly as my father would play it. I realized that although it's been the signature song of my family, there was never a time where my father literally just recorded the song on its own as a possible accompaniment for me. I'm working with a technology company to recreate an image of my father, and the song that I've chosen is a song that I've always sung with him, which is Summertime. Right. But I don't have the recording, unfortunately, of him playing. Yes. So I'm wondering whether you can help me record Summertime in the manner of my father playing.
Okay, I got a score, something like this. If I could go, like Mr. Alex's idea. Yeah.
Yeah, almost exactly.
Yeah, you go. He like that. This type of thing. So
that's the ascending and descending.
Yeah, ascending and the descending. That's a
Latin style.
Latin style. But your dad will go with the bass, ostinato.
Summertime and the living is easy. He played it almost exactly like my father would. It was quite a respectful interpretation of my dad's accompaniment. Summertime. Something like that?
Yeah, then you go.
I'll let you take it away.
因为我的状况的问题啦，所以很多时候就在想，要不要拿那个残障人士那个通行证啊？所以我真的是想了很久很久。我在想，如果我去申请去拿的话，感觉上是在标签自己是一个残障人士，我觉得有点很难堪、很丢脸、很不好意思。当大家的眼光已经不再是聚焦在你的脸，而聚焦在你的下半身的时候，你会觉得很尴尬、很难看。又假装打电话就是说，不要人家走你走这样慢，他走了一拐一拐这样，好像瘸了，你明白吗？临兵 whatever， 所以我必须假装一步走一步走哦，看不出，因为他在打电话吗？我觉得终究就是我逃避现实。我希望人家会记得周淑明是一名演员，而不是一个病人。我还能够演戏，还能够把欢乐带给观众，因为我没有被病情打倒，而且我还能够演戏，就是说我还有那个价值吧。
We are finalizing the design and moving the hologram machines to see Jacintha later. It's 2 months hard work, so we hope to bring a meaningful reunion moment for Jacintha and her family. We will showcase Mr. Alex playing Summertime, and we managed to find a model to playing the guitar. And we get music from Thomas and managed to sync the video and the music tempo.
Essentially, we used AI in order to be able to create a video and sort of animate one of his images and bring it to life. During his performance while he's playing, we wanted to also make adjustments to his head and not just the body where he's just playing the guitar. I'm a bit nervous to see how they will react to it because it's their first time seeing it. It's always the thought of, because this is someone that they've known, this is their family member. Is it respectful? Did we do a good job?
The last time I performed Summertime with my father was about 10 years ago. So to be able to do it today is kind of incredible. The act of singing and playing is very real. It felt super normal in the nicest, weirdest way to be so close to him.
So as you can see, Raphael is over here.
Wow, the mold is very
accurate.
real.
Yeah.
There's more than 100 questions to go through, and through the technology of AI, you're gonna see your Alison speaking to you.
我演过无数个角色，那么为什么会选择这个角色 Mr. 甘肃？主要是因为他的表演方式比较瓜，比较大，让我觉得通过科技可能可以弥补我心里的这一块遗憾吧。
1, 2, 3, 4. Ba, ba, la, sheep. Okay. Next is 1, 1, 1, 1. Now, have you is have you any like that. Have you any start like down, up, down, up, down.